The stars looked different today. Commander Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Indomitable and watched the empty space ahead. His ship was the best humanity had ever built. It was fast, strong, and carried 800 crew members into the unknown. Parts of space. "Sir, we have something on sensors," said Lieutenant Danby Park from her station. Her voice was calm but excited. "It's big, really big." Hyunwoo walked over to look at her screen. The ship's computer showed a massive object moving toward them. It was 3 times bigger than any human ship ever made. The metal hull gleamed with strange lights, and it moved in ways that seemed impossible. "Sound General Alert," Hyunwoo ordered. "But keep weapons powered down. This might be our first meeting with aliens." Captain Yoonji Park hurried onto the bridge. She was the ship's best diplomat and spoke 12 Earth languages. Today she might need to learn a 13th. "Any response to our greeting signals?" she asked. "Nothing yet," replied communications. Officer Ji-hoon Lee. "But they're scanning us, really detailed scans." The alien ship grew larger on their screens. It looked like a floating city made of silver and blue metal. Strange symbols glowed along its sides. Smaller ships flew around it like metal birds protecting their nest. "Incoming transmission," Ji-hoon announced suddenly. "They're using our own communication frequency somehow." The main screen flickered. Then an alien face appeared. It had purple skin, 4 yellow eyes, and no nose that humans could see. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English. "Primitive vessel. You will identify yourselves immediately." Hyunwoo stepped forward. "I am Commander Hyunwoo Kim of the United Earthship Indomitable. We come in peace from the planet Earth." The alien's 4 eyes blinked one at a time. "I am High Commander Vexthul of the Veltari Empire. You have entered space claimed by our people for 3,000 years. Yoonji moved beside Hyunwoo. "We meant no harm. We're explorers seeking new friends among the stars." High Commander Vexthul made a sound like grinding metal. Maybe it was laughter. "Friends, your species builds weapons that can destroy planets. Your ship carries enough firepower to level cities. You call this peaceful? We carry weapons for defense only," Hyunwoo explained. "Space can be dangerous." "Yes, it can be," Vexthul agreed, "especially for species that do not understand their place." More alien ships appeared on sensors. The humans counted 50, then 100, then stopped counting. Each ship was bigger than the Indomitable. Each one had weapons that glowed with strange energy. Dr. Boram Lee entered the bridge carrying a data pad. She was the ship's historian and knew more about human culture than anyone else aboard. "Commander, I've been studying their transmission signals. These aliens have conquered many other species, at least 20 different worlds." Vexthul's image turned toward her. "The human speaks truth. We have brought order to this sector of space for millennia. 23 species now serve the Empire in peace and prosperity." "What happened to the species that refused?" Yoonji asked. "Carefully. They learned the price of defiance," Vexthul replied. His 4 eyes grew brighter. "But we are not monsters. We offer you the same choice we gave the others." The bridge became very quiet. Every human held their breath. "Join the Veltari Empire as a client species," Vexthul continued. "Give us your military technology and your best scientists. In return, we will protect your worlds and guide your development. You will have peace under our rule." Hyunwoo felt his jaw tighten. "And if we refuse?" "Then your species will learn why 23 others chose to serve rather than resist." Engineer Taeho Park looked up from his station. "Sir, their weapons are charging, all of them." The alien ships formed a perfect circle around the Indomitable. Their weapons glowed brighter, like angry stars waiting to explode. "We need time to discuss this with our government," Hyunwoo said. "This decision affects all of humanity." Vexthul's head tilted sideways. "Your leaders did not give you authority to speak for your species?" "Important decisions require discussion and agreement from many people," Yoonji explained. "That's how human society works." The alien commander made that grinding sound again. "How inefficient, how weak. No wonder your technology is so primitive compared to ours." Dr. Borum stepped forward. Our technology may be different, but our people are not weak. No, Vexthul seemed amused. Your ship carries 800 beings. Mine carries 15,000. Your weapons can destroy a small moon. Mine can crack planets. Your species has reached 12 star systems. The Empire controls 400 systems. Across 4 species, tell me again how you are not weak. Strength isn't just about numbers or weapons, Boram replied. It's about the will to fight for what matters. Pretty words from a species that has never faced real war, Vexthul said. The Kethamori said similar things before they submitted. So did the Arxanian Republic. All of them learned that will means nothing against superior force. Hyunwoo looked around the bridge at his crew. They were scared but determined. Good people ready to do their duty. How long do we have to decide? He asked. 72 of your standard hours, Vexthul answered. After that, we begin the integration of your species into the Empire, with or without your cooperation. The transmission ended. The alien ships remained in formation around them, waiting and watching. Orders, sir? Asked Lieutenant Danby. Hyunwoo was quiet for a long moment. Then, he spoke clearly so everyone could hear. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what we've found out here. Tell them about the choice we've been given. Should we prepare for battle? Asked Engineer Taeho. Not yet, Hyunwoo replied. But start running diagnostics on all systems. If these aliens think humanity will simply bow down, they're about to learn something about human nature. Dr. Boram was already working at a computer station. I'm pulling up all available data on human military history. If we end up fighting, we'll need every advantage we can find. Do you really think we can fight ships this advanced? Yoonji asked quietly. Boram looked up from her screen. Her eyes were bright with sudden interest. Maybe not with technology, but humans have won battles against impossible odds before. Many times, actually. This is different, Ji-hoon said. These aliens have conquered 23 other species. Yes, Boram agreed, but I wonder what those other species were like. Did they have our kind of history? What do you mean? Hyunwoo asked. Boram pulled up a file on the main screen. It showed a timeline of human history filled with red marks for wars and conflicts. Look at this. In 5,000 years of recorded history, humans have been at peace for less than 300 years total. The bridge crew stared at the screen. The timeline was almost solid red. Every generation of humans has lived through war, Boram continued. We've fought in every environment on Earth. We've developed tactics for every situation. We've never stopped learning how to fight. The aliens don't know this about us yet, Hyunwoo realized. No, Boram said with a small smile. They think, we're just another peaceful species with some weapons. They have no idea what humans are really like when we're pushed too far. Outside the ship, the alien vessels continued their patient watch. They had done this many times before. They expected the same result they always got. Submission, cooperation, and another species added to their empire. But as Dr. Boram worked through the night, pulling up human battle strategies from ancient times to the present day, she began to suspect that the Veltari Empire was about to encounter something they had never faced before, a species that had never forgotten how to fight. The countdown to humanity's choice had begun. Admiral Jae-sung Choi watched the enemy fleet appear on his screens like angry stars. 200 alien ships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the new Sol system. His own fleet had only 47 ships to defend humanity's largest colony world. All ships battle stations, he ordered through the communication system. This is what we trained for. New Sol was home to 12 million humans. It had factories that built ships, farms that fed other colonies, and the biggest military training center outside of Earth. If the aliens took this world, they could use it as a base to attack the rest of human space. On the planet's surface, Colonel Mi Young-song stood in the command center of Fort Determination. Through the windows, she could see the city stretching to the horizon. Families were moving into underground shelters. Children carried their toys and asked their parents when they could go home. "Ma'am, we have enemy ships entering the atmosphere," reported Sergeant Won-ho Kim. "They're heading for landing zone Alpha, just like we expected." Mi Young nodded. "The Yao, Humans had spent 3 days preparing for this moment. They knew the aliens would land near the spaceport to secure it quickly. That's what the Veltari had done on every other world they conquered. But Colonel Song had studied the old wars on Earth. She knew that giving the enemy what they expected was often the best way to trap them. "Let them land," she ordered. Phase 1 is now active. In space, Admiral Choi watched his ship spread out in a defensive formation. The alien vessels were bigger and had stronger weapons, but human ships were faster and harder to hit. "Enemy fleet is moving to surround the planet," called out Captain Seungmin Park from his destroyer. "They want to cut off any escape routes." "Good," Admiral Choi replied. "That means they have to split their forces. All ships execute Plan Hammer." The human fleet suddenly broke apart. Instead of staying together to fight a big battle, each ship went in a different direction. Some attacked the alien flanks. Others dove toward the planet to help defend it. A few headed straight at the enemy command ship. High Commander Vexthal watched from his flagship as the human ships scattered like frightened fish. "Primitive tactics," he told his officers. "They cannot coordinate a proper defense, begin planetary assault." But something was wrong. The human ships weren't running away. They were attacking from all directions at once. Every time the alien fleet tried to focus on one group, another group would hit them from behind. "Sir, we're taking more damage than expected," reported his tactical officer. "The humans are using their speed to hit us and run before we can respond." "Increase firepower," Vexthal ordered. "Destroy them quickly and move to the planet, on Siu." New Sol's surface, the first alien transport ships landed in clouds of dust and fire. The Veltari troops inside were tall, strong, and covered in armor that could stop most human weapons. They expected to walk into the spaceport and take control within hours. Instead, they found empty buildings and silent streets. Lieutenant Wu Jinhan crouched behind a concrete barrier with his squad of 12 soldiers. They had been waiting in hidden positions around the spaceport for 2 hours. Each soldier carried simple weapons, rifles, grenades, and explosives they had made from mining equipment. "Remember," Wu Jin whispered into his radio, "let them spread out. Don't shoot until they're in the kill zone." 200 alien soldiers marched through the spaceport in perfect formation. Their purple skin looked dark under the colony's red sun. Their weapons hummed with energy that could melt steel. The aliens reached the center of the spaceport. Nothing happened. No humans appeared. No shots were fired. Then Wu Jin pressed a button. Explosions erupted all around the alien formation. The humans had buried bombs under every important building, every vehicle, and every piece of equipment in the spaceport. In 10 seconds, the aliens lost half their landing force. The survivors tried to find cover, but there was nowhere to hide. Human soldiers appeared on rooftops, in sewers, and behind shipping containers. They fired their simple weapons and disappeared before the aliens could shoot back. "Contact Earth Command," the alien ground commander radioed to his ship. "Human resistance is stronger than expected. Send more troops." But more troops meant the same result. Every time the aliens tried to advance, humans would attack and vanish. Every building became a fortress. Every street became a trap. Major He Jin Yu led a team of engineers who had turned the colony's subway system into a hidden highway. Her people could pop up anywhere in the city, attack the aliens, and disappear underground before help arrived. "The aliens fight like they're on parade," she told her team. "Perfect formations, standard tactics, everything by the book. But this isn't a book. This is war." By the end of the first day, the Veltari controlled only the spaceport they had landed at. They had lost 400 soldiers, taking a patch of ground the size of a city block. By the end of the first week, they had pushed 3 blocks into the city, but each block cost them more troops and supplies. The humans fought for every building, every room, every hallway. The aliens had never seen anything like it. On other worlds, the local people surrendered when they saw superior technology. Some tried to fight, but they gave up after losing the first battle. Humans were different. When they lost a battle, they came back and fought again. When they lost soldiers, more humans took their places. When they lost weapons, they made new ones from whatever they could find. "This is impossible," radioed the alien field commander to High Commander Vexthal. These humans fight like they enjoy dying in battle. Lieutenant Wu Jin's squad had held the same intersection for 6 days. They had started with 12 soldiers. Now they had 7. But they had also destroyed 15 alien vehicles and killed over 100 enemy troops. "Sir, we could retreat to better positions," suggested Corporal Jinwoo Lee. His uniform was torn and dirty, but his eyes were still bright with determination. "No," Wu Jin replied, checking his weapon. "This is our city. Our people are depending on us. We hold this ground until we can't hold it anymore." The aliens came again at sunset. 50 soldiers in powered armor, supported by flying gunships. They attacked the intersection with everything they had. The humans fought back with rifles that were older than some of the soldiers carrying them. They threw grenades made from kitchen supplies. They used tactics that generals had used centuries, ego on Earth. When the smoke cleared, the intersection was still in human hands. Barely. In space, Admiral Choi was fighting his own desperate battle. His fleet was down to 31 ships, but the aliens had lost 42. The humans couldn't match alien technology, but they could match alien determination. "All ships, this is Admiral Choi," he broadcast on the fleet frequency. "The people on that planet are counting on us. Every minute we keep these ships busy is another minute for our ground forces to prepare." Captain Yujin Song, commanding the cruiser Seoul's Pride, had just lost her engines to alien fire. Her ship was drifting helplessly toward the enemy fleet. "Captain, we should abandon ship," urged her first officer. "Negative," Yujin replied calmly. "Set collision course for that enemy command cruiser. If we're going down, we're taking them with us." The Seoul's Pride rammed into the alien vessel at full speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. High Commander Vexthul stared at the explosion in shock. "They destroyed their own ship to damage ours. This is not rational behavior." His tactical officer looked just as confused. "Sir, in all our previous conquests, no species has ever used suicide attacks. It goes against all logical military doctrine." "These humans are not logical," Vexthul muttered. "Send more troops to the planet. We need to end this quickly." But on New Seoul's surface, Colonel Mi Young Song was preparing for Phase 2 of her defense plan. She had studied how human cities had been defended throughout history. She knew that the real battle was just beginning. "All units, this is base command," she broadcast to her forces. "The aliens think they understand urban warfare. Let's show them how wrong they are." As night fell over New Seoul, the humans prepared to teach the Veltari Empire something that 23 other species had never been able to show them. Some fights are worth dying for, and humans had never forgotten how to fight those kinds of battles. Dr. Boram Lee had not slept in 3 days. She sat in the research lab of the UES Indomitable, surrounded by screens showing thousands of years of human history. Coffee cups and food wrappers covered her desk. Her eyes were red but focused. "Commander, you need to see this," she called to Hyunwoo Kim through the communication system. Hyunwoo arrived in the lab 5 minutes later. He looked tired too. Everyone on the ship was tired. They had been listening to reports from New Seoul for weeks. The battle was not going well for either side. "What did you find?" he asked, sitting down next to Boram. She pointed to a large screen showing a timeline of human civilization. Red marks covered almost every year. "I've been studying our military history compared to the other species the aliens conquered. Look at this." The screen changed to show information about the Kethmori, one of the species that had surrendered to the Veltari Empire. The Kethmori had wars for about 50 years of their recorded history. Then they achieved peace and focused on science and art for 800 years before the aliens found them. "That sounds nice," Hyunwoo said. "It does," Boram agreed. "Now look at the Arxanian Republic." Another timeline appeared. They had 3 major wars in 2,000 years of civilization. The rest of the time they were peaceful traders and explorers. Hyunwoo began to understand. "And humans?" Boram pulled up the human timeline again. "In 5,000 years of recorded history, humans have experienced only 268 years of complete peace. That's about 5% of our entire civilization." The numbers were shocking. Wars, battles, conflicts, revolutions, they filled human history like water fills a cup. Every century had multiple wars. Every generation grew up knowing about fighting. Commander, Boram continued, I don't think the aliens understand what they're facing. Every other species they conquered had mostly peaceful histories. They knew how to fight, but they didn't live with war the way humans do. Engineer Taeho Park entered the lab carrying a datapad. Dr. Lee, I have those military statistics you requested. He looked at the screens and stopped walking. Wow, we really do fight a lot, don't we? More than a lot, Boram replied. Taeho, show Commander Kim what you found about human military technology. Taeho activated his datapad and projected information onto the empty wall. I compared human weapons development to the other conquered species. Most of them created basic weapons for hunting and simple defense. When they achieved space travel, they focused on peaceful uses of technology. But humans kept improving. Weapons, Hyunwoo guessed. Exactly, Taeho confirmed. We've been perfecting the art of warfare for thousands of years. Every weapon we've ever made has been tested in actual combat. Every tactic has been used in real battles. Boram stood up and walked to a different screen. It gets more interesting. I analyzed the types of warfare humans have fought. She pulled up a list that made Hyunwoo's eyes widen. We've fought wars in deserts, jungles, mountains, and frozen wasteland. We've fought on oceans, underwater, and in the air. We've fought in cities and caves and in open fields. We've fought with swords, guns, chemicals, and nuclear weapons. Every environment, Hyunwoo said quietly. Every situation, Boram confirmed. Humans have faced every possible combat scenario and survived it. We've learned from every defeat and victory. Most importantly, we've never stopped preparing for the next war. Communications Officer Sojin Kim's voice came through the ship's speakers. Commander, I'm intercepting alien military communications from New Seoul. You should hear this. Put it through to the lab, Hyunwoo ordered. Static filled the room, then alien voices speaking in their own language. The ship's computer translated their words into English. Ground Command, this is Field Unit 7. We have taken the shopping district after 6 days of fighting. Human casualties appear light. Our casualties are significant. Field Unit 7. Explain, significant. We lost 43 soldiers taking 4 buildings, Ground Command. The humans fight from every window, every door, every hole in the wall. When we clear a building, they attack it again from underground tunnels. This is unacceptable. Use heavier weapons. We tried, Ground Command. Heavy weapons destroy the buildings, but the humans just fight from the ruins. It's like they prefer fighting in destroyed cities. Boram and Hyunwoo looked at each other. Urban warfare, Boram said. Humans have been fighting in cities for thousands of years. Stalingrad, Berlin, Seoul during the Korean War, Baghdad, Gaza. We know how to turn every building into a fortress. More alien voices came through the speakers. High Command, this is Fleet Commander Zakthul. The human space forces are using irregular tactics. They refuse to engage in proper formation battles. Explain. They attack our supply ships instead of our warships. They use their own vessels as weapons. Yesterday, one of their cruisers rammed our destroyer, and both ships were destroyed. This is not normal military behavior. Are they winning? No. High Command. But they are not losing either. We expected to control this system in 3 days. It has been 3 weeks, and we control less than half of one city. The transmission ended. The lab was quiet for a long moment. They don't understand us, Taeho said finally. No, they don't, Boram agreed. She pulled up another screen showing psychological profiles. Look at this. I studied the mental patterns of the conquered species. They all had similar approaches to conflict resolution. The screen showed charts and graphs. When faced with superior force, they calculated their chances of victory. When those chances were low, they surrendered to minimize casualties. It's logical, reasonable behavior. But humans don't think that way, Hyunwoo realized. Exactly, Boram said excitedly. Humans have a concept that doesn't exist in any of the other species. We call it fighting spirit or never giving up. We have stories about people who won battles they should have lost. We celebrate defeats that inspired later victories. She pulled up historical examples. The Battle of Thermopylae, 300 Spartans, fought 200,000 Persians. They lost, but their sacrifice inspired all of Greece. The Alamo, 200 Texans fought 4,000 Mexican soldiers. They died, but Texas remembered. Stalingrad, the Soviets lost 1 million people defending one city, but they never surrendered. We turn defeats into victories, Hyunwoo said, understanding. We turn impossible situations into opportunities, Boram corrected. The aliens expect rational behavior. When they show overwhelming force, other species surrender because it's the smart thing to do. But humans fight harder when the odds are bad, Taeho added. That's insane by alien standards, Boram continued. They've conquered 23 species using intimidation and superior technology. None of those species had cultures that glorified fighting against impossible odds. So, Jin's voice came through the speakers again. Commander, I have more intercepted communications. This one is from High Command. Put it through. A different alien voice filled the lab. This one sounded older and more worried. All fleet commanders, this is Supreme Admiral Kethval. We are receiving disturbing reports from the human conflict zone. Human resistance exceeds all previous conquest models. The humans appear to fight more effectively when facing superior odds. This behavior does not match any known military psychology. Request immediate tactical analysis from the Empire's war colleges. Furthermore, human military doctrine appears to be based on thousands of years of continuous warfare experience. Every tactical situation we present has been encountered and countered by human forces at some point in their history. Be advised, this species may require different conquest strategies than previous targets. The transmission ended. The three humans looked at each other in amazement. They're scared, Taeho whispered. They should be, Boram replied. For the first time in their imperial history, they're fighting a species that has never forgotten how to make war. While other civilizations achieved peace and prosperity, humans spent 5,000 years perfecting the art of combat. Commander. Hyunwoo stood up slowly. Doctor, prepare a complete report on your findings. Send it to every human ship and colony. Make sure our people understand what we're really fighting. What are we fighting, sir? Sojin asked over the communication system. Hyunwoo looked at the screens full of human military history. Red marks for battles. Names of wars. Pictures of soldiers who had died defending their homes across thousands of years. We're fighting for the right to remain who we are, he said quietly. And the aliens are about to learn that humans are very, very good at that kind of fight. Outside the ship, space remained quiet. But somewhere in that darkness, the Veltari Empire was beginning to realize they had made a terrible mistake. They had chosen to fight the one species in the galaxy that had never stopped preparing for war. General Dong-Hyun Lee stood on the roof of City Hall and watched smoke rise from a dozen burning buildings. New Seoul had been under siege for 2 months. The aliens controlled about half the city, but they had paid a terrible price for every street. Sir, the alien elite troops have arrived, reported Major Hee Jin-yu. She pointed to the sky where new ships were landing. These vessels were different. Black metal covered in glowing red symbols. The Korvac assault units, Dong-Hyun said grimly. I was wondering when they would send their best warriors. The Korvac were legendary throughout the Veltari Empire. They had never failed to break enemy resistance. Each warrior was 3 meters tall, covered in armor that could stop anti-tank weapons, and trained from birth to kill efficiently. Kyo, many? Dong-Hyun asked. Intelligence estimates 5,000 elite troops plus their support equipment, Hyejin replied. They're setting up a command post in the northern district. Dong-Hyun smiled grimly. Good. That means they're planning to finish this fight quickly. Signal all units. Activate defense plan, Koguryo. The plan was named after an ancient Korean kingdom that had fought off much larger Chinese invasions. The strategy was simple. Let the enemy advance while bleeding them at every step, then strike when they least expected it. Captain Jin-Ho Park was flying his fighter squadron when the Korvac attack began. The alien elite troops moved like a black wave across the city, their weapons destroying everything in their path. All pilots, this is Captain Park. He broadcast to his remaining 12 fighters. Remember what Dr. Lee taught us about human warfare. The aliens expect us to be logical. Let's be crazy instead. Instead of attacking the Korvac directly, the human fighters dove toward the alien supply convoys. They destroyed fuel trucks, ammunition carriers, and communication centers. When the alien fighters came after them, the humans led them into carefully prepared anti-aircraft traps. Human fighters are avoiding direct combat, reported the Korvac field commander. They attack our supply lines and retreat. This is cowardly behavior. But High Commander Vexthul was beginning to understand human tactics. It's not cowardly, he told his officers. It's intelligent. They're trying to starve us of supplies while preserving their own forces. Then we will crush them quickly before supplies become an issue, the Korvac commander replied. The alien elite troops advanced into the city center like an unstoppable machine. They had never been defeated. They expected to crush human resistance within hours. Instead, they walked into the most complex urban defense ever created by human military minds. Lieutenant Colonel Kyung-ho Nam watched the aliens approach through his binoculars. He commanded the defense of Central Plaza, the heart of New Seoul. His force had only 800 soldiers against 2,000 Korvac warriors. Phase 1. He whispered into his radio. Hidden explosives destroyed the bridges and overpasses around the plaza. The aliens suddenly found themselves trapped in a concrete bowl with humans shooting down at them from every building. Phase 2, Kyung-ho continued. Smoke filled the plaza as human soldiers activated chemical fog generators. The aliens had advanced sensors, but the fog blocked their energy weapons and confused their targeting systems. Phase 3. Human soldiers appeared from sewers, subway tunnels, and basement connections. They attacked the confused aliens from all directions, then disappeared back underground before the Korvac could respond. The alien commander had never experienced anything like it. Command, the humans are fighting in 3 dimensions. They attack from above, below, and all sides simultaneously. Use your superior firepower to clear the buildings, High Command ordered. We tried that, Command. When we destroy a building, the humans fight from the ruins. When we clear the ruins, they attack from the building next door. It's like fighting an entire city that has come alive. Dr. Sunmi Kang watched the battle from the medical center that had been converted into a fortress. She was a xenopsychologist who studied alien behavior. What she saw amazed her. The aliens are breaking down, she reported to General Lee. Their psychological profiles show they've never faced an enemy that treats desperate situations as opportunities. Explain, the general requested. Look at their formation. Sunmi pointed to the alien forces on her screen. They're bunching together for protection. That's fear behavior. The Korvac are scared. It was true. The legendary alien warriors were experiencing something their species had never felt. Doubt. They had been taught that superior technology and training guaranteed victory. But humans kept fighting even when they should have been defeated. Major Hyejin Yu led her special operations team through the underground tunnels. They had been studying human resistance movements from throughout history. The French resistance, the Warsaw Ghetto, the Viet Cong, the Afghan Mujahideen. Every tunnel system in this city is connected, she explained to her team. We can attack anywhere, anytime, and vanish before they know what hit them. Her team had sabotaged alien supply convoys, destroyed communication centers, and assassinated enemy officers. The aliens never knew where the next attack would come from. Ma'am, the aliens are requesting reinforcements, reported Sergeant Min Ho-jung. They're asking for 10,000 more troops. Good, Hyejin smiled. That means we're winning. Meanwhile, Captain Jin-ho Park was discovering something important about alien psychology. His fighter squadron had been outnumbered 10-1, but they had shot down more enemy aircraft than they had lost. The alien pilots are too careful, he reported to General Lee. They won't take risks. When we do something they don't expect, they retreat and call for help instead of adapting. Humans adapt, the general replied. We learn from every mistake and try new things. The aliens follow their training exactly. Yes, sir. And their training doesn't include fighting people who refuse to follow the rules. High Commander Vex Thul stared at the battle reports in disbelief. His elite Korvac troops were requesting permission to withdraw from Central Plaza. The finest warriors in the Veltari Empire wanted to retreat from a force 1/4 their size. "This is impossible," he told his staff. "No species has ever repelled a Korvac assault." "Sir, perhaps we should study human military history," suggested his intelligence officer. "They seem to have extensive experience with urban combat." Vexthul activated his computer and began searching through the human cultural database that had been transmitted during first contact. What he found changed everything. Images of human cities under siege filled his screen. Stalingrad, where Soviet forces held a city for 200 days against the German army. Berlin, where German civilians fought Soviet tanks with nothing but rifles and determination. Seoul, where human forces had fought building by building during an ancient war. "They've done this before," Vexthul whispered. "Many times." He read about human tactics, urban warfare, guerrilla fighting, asymmetric combat, and psychological warfare. Every strategy his forces faced had been used by humans for centuries. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Korvac commander," his communication officer announced. The elite alien warrior appeared on screen. His black armor was scorched and damaged. Behind him, explosions lit up the night sky. "High Commander, human. Resistance is unlike anything in our military databases. They fight as if death in battle is acceptable. They attack when retreat would be logical. They turn every defeat into a reason to fight harder." "What are your casualties?" Vexithul asked. 40%, sir, in 6 hours of combat, against an inferior force." Vexithul felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. Not fear of death, but fear of the unknown. His empire had conquered 23 species using proven methods. Those methods were not working against humans. "Sir," the Korvac commander continued, "I request permission to study human military tactics before continuing the assault." "Granted," Vexthul replied. "All units halt offensive operations. Begin analysis of human combat doctrine." For the first time in 3,000 years of conquest, the Veltari Empire had called a timeout to figure out how to fight their enemy. On the surface of New Seoul, General Dong-hyun Lee received the report that alien attacks had stopped. His soldiers cheered, but he remained serious. "This isn't over," he told his staff. "They're learning about us now. When they attack again, they'll be prepared for our tactics. Then we'll use different tactics," suggested Lieutenant Colonel Kyung-ho. "Yes," the general agreed. "Fortunately, humans have been developing new tactics for 5,000 years. We have plenty more to show them." As night fell over the battle-scarred city, both sides prepared for the next phase of a war that had already lasted longer than the conquest of 23 other worlds combined. The aliens were beginning to understand what Dr. Boram Lee had discovered. They weren't just fighting another species. They were fighting the accumulated military experience of human civilization itself. High Commander Vexthul had not slept in 3 days. He sat in his private chamber aboard the flagship, surrounded by screens showing human military history. What he saw horrified him more than any weapon the Empire had ever faced. "Computer, display human warfare statistics," he commanded. Numbers filled the screen. In 5,000 years of recorded history, humans had fought over 14,000 wars. They had developed 847 different fighting styles. They had created weapons from every material available on their planet. They had turned every environment into a battlefield. "Computer, compare human military development to previous conquered species." The comparison made Vexthul's skin turn pale. The Keth Mori had fought 12 wars in their entire history. The Arxanians had fought 3. Most other species had achieved peace centuries before developing space travel. Humans had been perfecting warfare right up until the moment they met the Veltari Empire. "Sir, incoming transmission from the planet surface," announced his communication officer. "Put it through," Vexthul replied. The Korvac field commander appeared on screen. His legendary confidence was gone. replaced by something Vexthul had never seen in his elite warriors: uncertainty. High Commander, we have completed analysis of human urban combat doctrine. The results are disturbing. Report. Sir, humans have been fighting in cities for over 3,000 years. They have detailed studies of every urban battle ever fought on their planet. They know how to use buildings, sewers, underground tunnels, and even destroyed ruins as weapons. The commander paused, then continued. More importantly, sir, they train their soldiers using lessons learned from all of these historical battles. Every human soldier knows tactics that took our species centuries to develop. Vexthul felt cold fear creeping up his spine. What do you recommend? Sir, I recommend we request the historical archives from other human colonies. If we're going to fight this species, we need to understand their complete military background. 3 hours later, Vexthul received files from human diplomatic channels. Dr. Chunhee Yang, a human xenoarchaeologist, had been sharing human cultural records as part of the original First Contact protocols. What Vexthul found in those files would change galactic history forever. Human warfare wasn't just about battles and tactics. It was about something deeper, a species that had evolved warfare as a survival mechanism. Every generation had lived through conflict. Every culture had developed warrior traditions. Every government had military forces trained in thousands of years of combat experience. Computer analyze human psychological profiles during warfare. The results appeared on screen, and Vexthul understood why his forces were failing. Humans didn't just fight to win. They fought because fighting was part of their nature. When faced with impossible odds, they didn't surrender. They fought harder. Sir, emergency transmission from Admiral Chang Min-O's fleet, his officer announced. What fleet? Vexthul demanded. All human ships in this system have been accounted for. Sir, it's a relief fleet. 50 human ships just arrived from Earth. Vexthul watched his screens as the new human fleet spread out in attack formation. But these ships were doing something he had never seen before. They were ramming his vessels. On purpose. Admiral Chang Min-O commanded the lead ship as it crashed into a Veltari destroyer. As the ships exploded together, escape pods launched carrying human crews who continued fighting from smaller vessels. This is Admiral O to all Veltari forces, came a transmission. You wanted to see how humans fight. We'll show you. Commander, Su Bin Hong intercepted the alien response frequencies. The transmissions were filled with panic. They're using their ships as weapons. This violates all known military doctrine. How do we fight an enemy that considers death acceptable? Request. Immediate backup. These humans fight like they're already dead. Vexthul watched his fleet being torn apart by an enemy that refused to follow any logical military strategy. Human ships would ram his vessels, explode their own weapons to damage enemy forces, and use tactics that sacrificed short-term losses for long-term advantages. Computer. Analyze human historical military sacrifices. The files that appeared made Vexthul understand the terrible truth. Throughout human history, soldiers had died to protect their people. Not just died, chosen to die when it would help. Their cause. They had words for it. Heroism, sacrifice, valor, honor. The Veltari had no such concepts. In their society, preservation of life was the highest military virtue. Retreat was acceptable when facing superior odds. Surrender was logical when victory was impossible. Humans were different. They had stories about 300 warriors who fought, 200,000 enemies knowing they would die. They celebrated defeats that inspired later victories. They turned hopeless last stands into legends that motivated future generations. Sir, the Korvac commander is requesting permission to withdraw from the planet, his officer reported. Denied, Vexthul replied automatically. Sir, he says his forces have taken 60% casualties. The humans are now using tactics from something they call the Pacific Theater and the Eastern Front. He doesn't understand what those terms mean, but human resistance has become more effective. Vexthul looked up those references in the human archives. What he found made his blood freeze. The Pacific Theater and Eastern Front were campaigns from a human war where millions of soldiers had died fighting. The humans had detailed records of every battle, every tactic, every lesson learned. They were using knowledge gained from wars that had killed more people than lived in most alien star systems. Computer. Total human military casualties throughout history. The number that appeared made Vexthul stagger. Over 1.8 billion humans had died in wars throughout their history. Instead of making them peaceful, this had made them experts at warfare. Every dead human soldier had taught lessons to the next generation. Every lost battle had created new tactics. Every defeat had become part of a vast military knowledge that the species carried forward through time. "Sir, incoming priority transmission from the Supreme Admiral," his officer announced. The highest commander in the Veltari Empire appeared on screen. His expression was grim. "High Commander Vexthul, you will immediately withdraw all forces from human space." "Sir? We have been monitoring your battle reports. Also, we have intercepted communications from 16 other galactic civilizations. They are all watching this conflict." The Supreme Admiral paused. "High Commander, in 3,000 years of expansion, no species has ever forced us to fight for more than one planetary rotation. You have been fighting these humans for 2 months and they are still gaining strength. Sir, with more troops we can—" "No." The Supreme Admiral's voice was final. "We are not withdrawing because we cannot win. We are withdrawing because we finally understand what humans are." "I don't understand, sir." "High Commander, we have conquered species with better technology than ours. We have defeated enemies with larger fleets. But we have never fought a species that has spent its entire evolutionary history preparing for war." The Supreme Admiral pulled up displays showing human military history. "Every other species we conquered achieved peace and turned to science, art, and philosophy. Humans achieved peace and immediately began preparing for the next war. We are not fighting a species, High Commander. We are fighting 5,000 years of accumulated military experience. Every tactic we use they have seen before. Every strategy we employ they have countered in their history." Vexthul realized the terrible truth. They never stopped learning how to fight. Exactly. And now, other galactic civilizations are watching. If we cannot defeat humans, what does that say about our empire? More importantly, if we cannot defeat them, what happens when they develop better technology? The Supreme Admiral's final words changed everything. "Issue the Fear Protocol. From this moment forward, human space is forbidden territory. Any ship that enters human space without permission will be considered lost. Sir, the Fear Protocol has never been issued for any species." "No species has ever forced us to create it," the Supreme Admiral replied. "But humans are not like any species we have encountered. They are a warrior race that never stopped being warriors." 6 hours later, every Veltari ship withdrew from human space. The siege of New Sol ended not with human surrender, but with alien retreat. Captain Young Soo Kwan of the Human Diplomatic Corps received a message that would change galactic politics forever. Formal recognition of human territorial sovereignty from not just the Veltari Empire, but from 16 other alien civilizations that had been watching the conflict. Dr. Bo Ram Lee made the final entry in her research log. "They didn't fear our weapons or our ships. They feared our history. In a galaxy full of species that achieved peace and prosperity, we remained the only ones who never forgot how to wage war. That wasn't our weakness. It was our greatest strength."